Stress, anxiety, regret, these are silent thieves. They creep into our minds, stealing sleep from our nights and joy from our days. A single thought about the past or a fear of tomorrow can spiral into endless worry, leaving us restless, distracted, and exhausted. Many people spend their best years like this, alive, yet not really living. But here's the truth. Worry solves nothing. It never changes the past, and it never guarantees the future. All it does is rob us of the only thing we truly have, the present moment. And if we allow it, worry can drain not only our happiness, but also our health, our relationships, and even our success. That is why Dale Carnegie wrote one of the most life-changing books ever published, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. It's not a book of empty theories. It's a collection of powerful lessons drawn from real people, real struggles, and real victories over worry. In this audiobook summary, you'll discover timeless strategies to break free from the chains of anxiety. You'll hear stories of ordinary men and women, as well as great leaders, who learned to conquer fear, live in the present, and transform their lives. And as you listen, you'll uncover practical tools you can start using today to find peace of mind, build resilience, and live each day with greater confidence and joy. Stay with me until the end, because the wisdom you're about to hear could change not just how you think, but how you live. Live every day to the fullest. On a bright spring day, a young medical student sat beneath the weight of uncertainty. He wondered anxiously about the future. Would he pass his exams? What kind of doctor would he become? How would his career unfold? His mind, like many of ours, was restless with worry about things that had not yet come to pass. In that moment, he opened a book and came across 21 simple words that changed the course of his life. Our main business is not to see what lies dimly at a distance, but to do what lies clearly at hand. That student was William Osler, who went on to become one of the greatest physicians of his age, head of the world-famous Johns Hopkins Medical School, and later a professor at Oxford University. Osler said it was those 21 words that taught him to live fully in the present, instead of being paralyzed by the uncertainties of tomorrow. Years later, in a speech at Yale University, he explained this philosophy to young students by introducing a powerful image. He urged them to live in what he called day-tight compartments. Imagine sealing off the past so it cannot reach you, and locking the door to the future so it cannot intrude. All that remains is today, this one day, and it is here that life is meant to be lived. Osler didn't suggest we should never plan ahead. Preparation is wise, but endless worrying about what lies ahead is not only unhelpful, it is destructive. By focusing all of your energy on the task at hand, you not only perform better today, you also build a stronger tomorrow. As he put it, life must be lived one grain of sand at a time. Dale Carnegie echoes this wisdom with many real examples. He reminds us that countless people have destroyed their health by refusing to live in the present. Sleepless nights, nervous breakdowns, and illnesses often come not from real problems, but from the habit of dragging the weight of the past and the uncertainty of the future into today. One such story is that of Mrs. E.K. Shields of Michigan. After her husband's death, she fell into poverty and deep despair. She considered ending her life, feeling there was no hope left. But she found a turning point when she decided to focus only on each day as it came. She returned to selling books, the work she once knew. Though it was hard and often lonely, she discovered that concentrating on the small duties of each day kept her from drowning in grief. By locking the doors of yesterday and tomorrow, And living only in today's work, she saved not only her livelihood, but her life. This principle is simple, but it can transform everything. Close the doors on the past and the future. Live in day-tight compartments. Pour your heart into today, because today is all you truly have. When there seems to be no reason to live, there comes a point in many lives when the weight of worry becomes too heavy to bear. When there seems to be no reason to go on, the human spirit can break. This was exactly the situation of Mrs. E.K. Shields. After her husband's death, she found herself not only alone, but also buried under the burden of poverty. Every day brought new fears, rent that had to be paid, a car payment looming over her, the question of whether she would even be able to afford food. And if she became sick, how could she ever pay a doctor? These worries piled so high that Mrs. Shields decided she could not endure them any longer. She made up her mind to take her own life. The only thing that stopped her was one lingering thought. If she died, her sister would be left heartbroken and unable to pay for the funeral. Even in her darkest moment, love held her back. And then something remarkable happened. Mrs. Shields came across an article with a simple but powerful idea. Every day is a new life to a wise man. Those words struck her like lightning. She copied the sentence and hung it where she could see it every morning. From that moment, she began to remind herself at the start of each day, today is the beginning of a new life. Slowly, her perspective shifted. Instead of drowning in thoughts of yesterday's losses or tomorrow's uncertainties, she learned to live inside each day, one day at a time. The fear of poverty and loneliness loosened its grip. By filling her mind with the thought that each morning brought a fresh chance to live, she discovered joy again. She overcame despair not by solving every problem at once, but by facing today with courage. This lesson asks us a deeper question. Why do we so often run away from the present moment? When we are children, we dream of growing up. When we are grown, we dream of marriage. After marriage, we dream of retirement. And when retirement finally arrives, many realize too late how much life has slipped through their fingers. The truth is, life is not waiting for us somewhere in the distance. It is happening here and now, in each ordinary day. The ancient Romans had a saying for this wisdom: Carpe diem, seize the day. Whatever stage of life you are in, embrace it. Appreciate what you have now. Do not lose today by grieving over the past or chasing a future that has not yet come. The past is gone, the future is uncertain, but the present is alive in your hands. Live it fully. Leave behind all the bad memories and regrets. If you want to free yourself from worry, the first step is to let go of the past. Yesterday is gone forever. Its mistakes and regrets cannot be undone, no matter how much you brood over them. As Carnegie reminds us, forget what has happened. The past cannot be changed, and the future, well, the future is a mystery. 1,000 different things may happen tomorrow, but worrying about them today will not alter their course. What you do have is today, this single day, these 24 precious hours that are yours to live. The question is, how will you spend them? Will you allow anxiety to poison them, turning your hours into stress and self-pity? Or will you use them to notice the good things in your life, your work, your loved ones, your health, the small joys that surround you? When you choose to live in the present, life begins to open up in unexpected ways. Each task becomes easier to handle because you are no longer dragging the weight of yesterday or the burden of tomorrow into it. You can give your best to the job at hand. You can savor the simple happiness of being alive today. Sir William Osler, the great physician, once reflected on the secret of his success. He said, "I owe everything to the habit of shutting out all anxieties about the future and concentrating on the work of the present." That was his key. To focus his energy on today's duties, nothing more and nothing less. And in doing so, he achieved greatness without being crushed by the endless pressures of life. You too can practice this wisdom. Live each day as if it were a life in itself. Close the door on regrets. Stop borrowing trouble from tomorrow, and discover the peace and power that comes from giving yourself completely to the present moment. Watching my wife wash dishes taught me to live a carefree life. William Wood was a man of great accomplishment, but behind his success he carried a silent struggle. He suffered from such severe stomach pain that he could hardly sleep at night. The pain was constant and tormenting. His father had died of stomach cancer, and William feared he was destined for the same fate. Out of desperation, he went to a hospital for a thorough examination. After taking X-rays and running tests, the specialist gave him unexpected news. His stomach was perfectly healthy. The pain wasn't coming from disease. It was coming from his mind. His body was simply reacting to the relentless stress and tension he carried each day. The doctor prescribed medicine to help him rest, but more importantly, he warned William that unless he changed his way of living, no medicine would bring lasting relief. This advice forced William to look inward. He realized he had been living in a constant state of hurry, always rushing, always overloaded with tasks. His mind was never still. He tried to carry yesterday's problems, today's challenges, and tomorrow's burdens all at once. No wonder his body had rebelled. Determined to change, he began to slow down. He set aside time to rest, even taking Mondays off to break his cycle of endless work. One day, while cleaning his desk, he noticed old papers and useless notes piled high. As he tossed them into the wastebasket one by one, he suddenly saw a lesson. Worries and regrets are just like waste paper. They serve no purpose once their time has passed. Why hold on to them? Better to throw them out of your mind and free yourself from their weight. But the greatest lesson of all came from watching his wife. One evening, he noticed her singing cheerfully while washing dishes. It struck him. She had been washing dishes for 18 years of their marriage. If she had known on her wedding day that she would face years of scrubbing plates, she might have dreaded the thought. But she didn't think that way. She simply washed today's dishes, and that was all. She didn't burden herself with yesterday's dishes already cleaned, nor did she worry about the ones that would pile up tomorrow. And in that simple act, William Wood realized the mistake he had been making. He had been trying to wash all of life's dishes, past, present, and future, at once. No wonder his body and mind collapsed under the strain. From that day forward, he resolved to live as his wife did, one day at a time. He slowed down, he let go of unnecessary worries, and before long, his stomach pain disappeared. He could finally sleep again, because he had learned the most important lesson of all, that peace comes not from rushing through life, but from living each day as it arrives. Time is a healer. Luis Montante, Jr. once confessed that he felt as though he had wasted 10 of the best years of his life. From the age of 18 until 28, instead of enjoying youth, he drowned in worry. He worried about his job, his health, his family, his future, everything. His insecurities grew so strong that he avoided meeting new people. He developed an inferiority complex that held him back at every step. Even when he applied for jobs, he failed, not because he lacked ability, but because he lacked the confidence to present his strengths. Then, something happened that shifted his perspective. Luis met a man named Bill. Bill was someone who on paper had every reason to be miserable. He had lost all his savings in the stock market crash of 1929, gone bankrupt again in 1933, and once more in 1937. He owed money to many people, had enemies everywhere, and had endured more misfortune than most men could carry. Yet Bill radiated a strange calm. He was not broken. He was cheerful. Luis couldn't understand it. Why was Bill at peace, while he himself was consumed by fear? The answer came when Bill shared his secret. He explained that whenever a serious problem arose, he would take a sheet of paper and write it down in detail. Then he would place it in a desk drawer and leave it there. After 2 weeks, he would return to it. If the problem still bothered him, he put the paper back for another 2 weeks. What he discovered was extraordinary. More often than not, the problem had lost its power with time. Some issues resolved themselves. Others simply shrank in importance. Worries that once felt unbearable faded, just as a balloon deflates when its air is slowly let out. Luis never forgot this lesson. He realized that patience itself can be a cure. Time has a way of softening our troubles, of putting them into perspective. And when you stop feeding your fears with constant attention, they often wither away on their own. So, ask yourself, what are you worrying about right now? Is it really worth the energy you're giving it? Chances are, if you step back and give it time, you'll find that what seems heavy today will be light tomorrow. Time, after all, is one of life's greatest healers. 5 ways to relieve anxiety. Professor William Lyon Phelps, a beloved teacher and writer, once feared that his career might be cut short. His eyesight was failing. After only a few minutes of reading, sharp pain would shoot through his eyes, as if needles were piercing them. Even looking out a window became unbearable. He began to wonder if he would be forced to abandon his life's passion, teaching. Then one day, he was invited to give a lecture. The hall was brightly lit, and the glare hurt his eyes so much that he had to keep glancing at the floor. But when he finally raised his head to look at his students, something extraordinary happened. The pain disappeared. He spoke for half an hour without discomfort. In that moment, he discovered the healing power of enthusiasm. His love for teaching was so strong that it silenced his suffering. He realized that when the mind is absorbed in something deeply meaningful, worry and pain lose their grip. That was his first method of relief, to live with passion and purpose. Each morning, he woke with excitement at the thought of meeting his students, and that joy carried him through the day. The second method he relied on was reading. For him, a good book was more than just a pastime. It was an escape from anxiety. When the mind becomes engrossed in a story or an idea, troubles fade into the background. Reading allowed him to step outside his own pain and into a world of imagination and wisdom. His third method was physical activity. When depression weighed on him, he found release in movement. He played tennis in the mornings, golf in the afternoons, and sometimes danced late into the night. He discovered that when the body sweats, the mind clears. Worry cannot survive when energy is burned through joyful activity. The fourth method came from a piece of advice he treasured from Wilbur Cross, the former governor of Connecticut. Cross had once said, "When I feel overwhelmed by too many responsibilities at once, I sit back, relax, and let myself be still." For him, it meant smoking his pipe. For others, it might mean simply pausing, breathing, and giving the mind space to reset. In that pause, the pressure of life eases. And the fifth method was perhaps the simplest, yet the most profound. Remembering that time heals. Professor Phelps would tell himself, 2 months from now, this problem won't matter to me. If I won't be worrying about it then, why waste my peace of mind on it now? By giving troubles time to pass, he freed himself from the illusion that they had power over him. Through these practices, enthusiasm, reading, exercise, relaxation, and patience, Professor Phelps found a way to not just manage his anxiety, but to live fully in spite of it. His story reminds us that worry shrinks when the mind is lifted by purpose, joy, and perspective. One thing at a time, good man. At a hunting club in Pennsylvania, there once lived an old parrot whose cage hung right by the entrance door. Each time a visitor walked in, the bird would repeat the same phrase in a steady, confident voice. One thing at a time, good man. One thing at a time. It may have been just a trick the parrot had been taught, but those words carried a wisdom far beyond the bird's understanding. In fact, they contained one of life's simplest but most powerful lessons. We live in an age of endless responsibilities and constant demands. Our minds are often pulled in a dozen directions at once. Work, family, health, money, obligations, and worries all crowding in. But the truth is, no matter how heavy our load, we can only carry it one piece at a time. No one can solve every problem in one sweep. When we learn to slow down and face each responsibility calmly, giving it our full attention before moving on to the next, life suddenly feels lighter. Overwhelm begins to fade. The parrot's little reminder was not just amusing, it was a cure for anxiety. So whenever you feel buried under a mountain of tasks, remember the voice of that old bird. One thing at a time, good man. Handle today's work today, and let tomorrow's wait its turn. How John D. Rockefeller lived on credit for 45 years. By his early 50s, his health had deteriorated to the point where doctors doubted he would live much longer. He was consumed by endless worry about his business. He worked day and night, driven by fear that his empire might crumble. He had no hobbies, no laughter, and no peace. His hair began to fall out until he was completely bald. His once strong body became frail, his skin pale, his appetite gone. People who met him saw only a man haunted by tension and distrust. And then, just as his company was facing fierce challenges from competitors and public backlash, Rockefeller's health reached a breaking point. Doctors warned him bluntly, "Continue like this, and you will not live past 53. The fortune he had built would mean nothing if he did not survive to enjoy it. He had to choose, cling to his empire or save his life. For the first time, Rockefeller stepped back. He left the daily grind of his company and began to follow a new set of rules given to him by his doctors. First, he had to let go of stress. Nothing was worth his health. Second, he had to rest, truly rest, by making space for leisure and exercise. And third, he had to nourish his body with proper food in moderation. To everyone's surprise, he listened. He began playing golf, gardening, and even singing. He reconnected with his neighbors and learned to smile again. Most importantly, he shifted his focus from making money to using money for good. What doctors called living on borrowed time became an extraordinary second chapter of his life. With his wealth, Rockefeller poured millions into education and medicine. He saved a struggling college on Lake Michigan, which later grew into the University of Chicago. He supported schools like Tuskegee Institute, dedicated to uplifting minorities. When hookworm disease spread across the American South, treatment cost just 50 cents per person. But millions were suffering. Rockefeller funded efforts to wipe it out. That was the beginning of the Rockefeller Foundation. Through his generosity, he helped fund research that led to life-saving discoveries. The development of penicillin, the fight against malaria, tuberculosis, and influenza all were supported in some way by Rockefeller's philanthropy. What began as a man's effort to save his own life grew into a mission that touched the lives of millions across the globe. John D. Rockefeller, the man once told he would not live past 53, went on to live to the age of 98. He discovered that wealth alone cannot bring peace, but using wealth to serve others can heal both the body and the soul. By leaving behind his worries and living for others, he found a happiness greater than any monopoly could buy. Conclusion. As we come to the end of this summary, let's step back and look at what Dale Carnegie has taught us. Worry is a habit, one that drains our energy, weakens our health, and steals the joy of living. But it's also a habit we can break. The solution is not complicated. It's about learning to live in day-tight compartments, focusing only on the work and opportunities of today. It's about letting go of regrets from yesterday and refusing to borrow fear from tomorrow. We've seen how people from every walk of life, students, teachers, business leaders, even John D. Rockefeller himself, transformed their lives when they stopped worrying and started living. They found peace, strength, and success, not by chasing more, but by giving their best to each moment and trusting the rest to time. The lesson is simple but powerful. Life is happening now. This day, this hour, this moment is your greatest asset. Guard it well. Use it wisely. Because the more you train yourself to live fully in the present, the more happiness, health, and success you will invite into your future. If this summary inspired you, remember, it's only a glimpse of the timeless wisdom in Dale Carnegie's How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Apply these principles, and you won't just reduce your stress, you'll reshape the way you live. Thank you for listening to this audiobook summary. If you'd like more life-changing insights from the world's best books on success, wealth, productivity, and personal growth, don't forget to subscribe to Audiobook 101. Stay with us, because every book we share could hold the one idea that changes your life forever.